If you've been struggling to manifest, I will let you in on a little secret. We are not all wired to manifest the same. So, if you don't know me, hi, my name is Kristen. I'm an Akashic Records practitioner, and I'll share a little bit of insight with you from the Akashic Records. So, when I really dove into the Akashic Records, I learned about our souls, and our souls were not all created equally. And so, because of that, we all manifest a little bit differently. We're wired for abundance in different ways, and so there are things that we really need to do, energies that we need to bring in order to manifest best, and that can vary per person. If my math is mathing, I believe it's like 136 different variations of how we might each manifest. So it's quite a bit, right? We're all pretty unique in that. So there are a lot of different manifestation techniques out there, and um, I agree with a lot of them, but if it's not working for you, it might be that you're missing this other little piece, right? That you aren't bringing in these energies that your soul really, really needs. And so, what are these? So, there are 8 different energies, and we each have all of 8 of these different energies in us in varying amounts. But each of us really uses one or two of them, and as our like main way that we get energy. And when I talk about energy, I'm talking about like divine energy from our blueprint, our soul blueprint. Divine energy is infinite. It's like this infinite creative energy that we can create endlessly from. It's limitless versus the other type of energy that we use, which is each other, through things like guilt, shame, blame, expectation, even things like service and wanting to help others can be that, right? Because sometimes we overgive and we don't get back a lot. This can cause also energy leaks as well. So that's a whole other thing. Um, but I'll tell you a little bit about these 8 different soul types, I guess we can call them. And the first one needs community. Uh, this soul group, soul type, whatever we want to call it, really needs to be part of a community in order to be really abundant and manifest really well. Um, and it doesn't matter what that community looks like. So that could be a family, that could be a friend group, that could be a school or a workplace, it could be even their career. It could be, a sport group or, a music group, a band. I don't know. And it doesn't really matter. Just some sort of group where they feel like they are part of something bigger, right? Where they feel like they are needed, they're important, and they're valued, and they can contribute in a way that is meaningful. That is really, really important to them, and they need that in order to manifest. And if they don't have that, then they're going to be in a lack, and it doesn't really matter about the other things that you're trying to do to manifest. You're going to be still struggling. The next group is really based more on physicality. Uh, it's and that might be the person needs to be physically active or outside or just very embodied. This group is it's about embodiment, being immersed in sensory experience, in movement, in creative energy, in experiencing the world, experiencing life, in building things, in, just feeling. That is really, really important. And so, if you're like sitting at a desk and you're inside and you're not expressing yourself through movement or creativity, you're going to suffer. The next group is about order and calm, peace. They need structure, stability, um, and and again, calm. So they don't do well in chaos. They don't do well when everything is just constant craziness. That is not good for them. They are not going to manifest very well when they're in that sort of a situation. The next group is all about relationships and healing. So, they are natural healers, whether that is, some sort of, they're doing some sort of healing work, or they're involved in some sort of healing modality. And that could even just be something more mundane, like, being a therapist or a nurse or something. But being in relationship with people is really important. And that doesn't have to mean, a romantic relationship. It could be a friendship. It could be, just their work. It could be part of their job. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be any sort of specific relationship, but being in relationship with others and listening to people and being a place for people to come and just talk and express themselves. That is what they excel at. Um, the next group is communication. So, this particular group needs to share the voice, whether that is spoken word or written word, but they need to share their message. Could be as a teacher, a writer, a speaker, whatever, but sharing their voice is important. They cannot sit back and just be quiet. The next group is about truth. These people make really good consultants. They can see through, they're like human lie detectors, right? They can see through all the stuff that is kind of, um, uh, whatever the word is, right? But they can see through things really, really well, and they can see the truth of things, and that truth and that authenticity is really important as well. And so they're really good at, like I said, being a consultant, being a guide for others, helping to guide them to the truth. Um, the next group thrives when they have freedom, choice, flexibility. They do, nobody does well with micromanaging, but they are the worst with this, right? They need the most freedom in their lives. They do really well as entrepreneurs. They do really well when they have as many choices and options as possible, and they can just kind of do their own thing. The next group and the final group is another version of truth, and it's wisdom and it's insight. And these people are, they're very wise, they're very intelligent, they are calm and quiet and insightful, and are also really great guides um, and coaches, and they can help guide people in this whole different way, through their wisdom and their insight. Uh, and so that's basically it. That's a quick rundown. Like I said, some people they have one of these as their main way that they get energy, and other people have two. And if you have two, you have to express both of them at once. So, as an example, for me, I, I have to use my voice, right? Communication is really important to me. I have to use my voice, and also the freedom, flexibility, and choice, right? Those two, I have to be expressing those somehow in my life. And the more that I can express those, the more abundant that I am going to be. The times when I have, say, been in a job where I had like no freedom and no flexibility in my role, in my schedule, in anything. And I was not using my voice at all. I was just kind of like on a computer, being very, very quiet and just keeping to myself. It's terrible for me. Um, and I did incredibly well when in my last role where I worked remotely, and I had no schedule, and I had I had like full flexibility over everything, and I got to use my voice and my words. And so I did really, really well at that, right? So that is an example for me. And then another example is my husband. I'll give you a quick example of, so I have this manifestation technique that I use using the Akashic Records. And so we looked for him how to manifest $10 million. And what it came back with was very much aligned to his, and his is that order and the peace, and also community. And so, we walked away with a list like this of, things that he can do in order to bring that manifestation into reality. And it all lined up, it all fit into those two categories somehow. It was very much all about that structure and order and routine and peace, and everything being very clean and put together and orderly, and um, you know so that's kind of it. That's kind of an example of what that would look like. If you are interested in any sort of a session, or finding out what your particular manifestation style is and how you are wired for abundance, I will drop a link in the description box below and pin a comment as well. If you found this helpful, it would be so helpful if you could hit the like button. That lets YouTube know that this was useful, and it will be more likely to share this video with others. It is greatly appreciated. If you have any questions or comments, drop them down. Do you resonate with one more than the other, or maybe a couple? Again, we have all of them, but there's one or two that are dominant in each of us. So I'll drop all that information below, though. So I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed this, if you would like to hear more Akashic insight, or soul stories from my Akashic regression sessions, those are super fascinating. I will be sharing those as well. If you want to hear some of those, subscribe and you will get notified when I release those. So thank you so much for watching, and take care. Bye.